Good afternoon, Vapors. Today, I spent some of the afternoon building a tiger coil. That's Leo Shim's tiger coil, and I'm going to put it on a Kraken. And I didn't video the me winding the coil, or wrapping the coil rather, and installing it because it was pretty time consuming. But as you can see, I have it installed on the Kraken. It's the tiger coil itself is made of 28 gauge Kanthal and 0.8 millimeter ribbon coil wrapped together. And here is a piece of it. I don't know if the camera will pick it up accurately. If you can see, it's twisted together. It's pretty cool looking. And this was off the piece that I made the coil. And here's the coil installed. And I really can't see the camera view. I hope it's in focus for you. But this was this coil was 6 wraps around a 3/32 drill bit, and the ohm reading came out to 0.6 ohms. And I'll do a little test fire so you can see it fire. Looks pretty nice. And the camera won't focus good up that close. But anyway, so I figured I'd start the video out here. I'm ready to install the cotton wick. And I wanted to do a video on the Kraken because I love the feature of it that you can install the wick without the glass on the atomizer. And I'll show you how that comes in handy here in just a second. So yeah, we're ready to install the cotton wicks. And I have my piece of cotton right here. And actually, this is, if you were to unroll a small cotton ball, this is about half of the half the thickness of the width of the cotton ball. And I'm not even going to use that much. I'm going to cut this in half, because that seems to be a problem. The biggest problem people have when using cotton for wicking in a Genesis style atomizer, people tend to use too much cotton. And what happens if there's too much cotton going, if it's too dense going through the wick hole, it'll swell up when it gets wet with the juice, and it'll constrict. Well, actually, the cotton will swell, and it'll swell so much that it will restrict the flow of juice through that wick hole in the cotton, so that at the coil area you're not getting any juice, and the result is dry or semi-dry hits that taste like poo-poo. So anyway, so I cut this cotton, and also there is another friend of mine, Steve Phelps. He had stated that he had better luck with kind of mashing the wick together rather than to twist it and roll it up. And when you roll it up, it compacts the cotton and it makes it more dense. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of mash the cotton between my fingers. Kind of keep it rolling around just a little bit. Don't twist it. But I'm just going to mash it together a little bit. Okay. Make it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to need to stick the cotton through this this wick. And what I've got, this setup that I'm building, it's a single coil dual wick setup, or build rather. So to get it through the to get one end through the coil, I'm just going to twist the very end of it, of the cotton, just enough so that I can slide the cotton, the tip of it, through the coil like this. So I've got enough sticking out there. I'm going to take my tweezers, grab hold of that little bit there, just enough to pull it through so I can get my fingers on it. And I'm going to pull that through the coil. You see it's bunching up just a little bit, but it's very fluffy, and that's why it's bunching up. That and the tiger coil is twisted, and it kind of snags onto the cotton a little bit. But you just want to work it through there. If you have a little bit too much, don't be afraid. Just go ahead and pull a little strand off. I'm going to pull enough cotton through there so that if I bend it down, the cotton will reach the bottom of the tank of the addy. Okay. So we've pulled it through, as you can see here. Okay. Now this is where the Kraken atomizer shines. You know, usually on a regular Genesis style atomizer, you have to feed the cotton through the little wick hole, and you have to keep, you know, working with it and to feed it down into the tank. Well, with the Kraken, you see the glass isn't on here, so it makes it very easy to get the cotton through the wick hole, through the deck of the atomizer, and into the tank. And then once you get it through the deck of the atomizer, through the wick hole, you know, you can just pull it with some tweezers and you know, pull it all the way down to the bottom of the tank, and it works very well. The cotton wicks, like I said, you don't need a lot of cotton. You need just very little cotton. And so we've got our cotton through our coil. Now I'm going to take one end of the cotton, and you see it's twisted just a little bit. And I'm going to take that and stick it into the wick hole. Okay. And then, let me get a little paper clip here. I've got a small paper clip. Again, I said, you know, you don't want to twist the cotton up. You just want to smash it together a little bit so that you can make it a little smaller. And if you see there, you see I'm pushing the cotton through the wick hole. And I've pushed it through there enough where I can grab it with a pair of tweezers and just pull it on through there. And see that there's hardly any resistance of the cotton going through that wick hole. And you really don't want any resistance there, because if you have resistance on this cotton going through the wick hole, you've probably got too much cotton. You just need just enough cotton to wick the juice from the tank here through the deck of the addy and up to the coil area. If the cotton is too dense, it'll restrict the flow of juice from the tank, and it won't be going through the wick hole through the deck here like it should be, and the coil won't get enough juice, and it'll result in dry to semi-dry hits that taste like, as I said before, poo-poo. Okay, so we've got our first wick here, first side of our wick, in our wick hole, fed through. And see, this is, like I was saying, this is where the Kraken shines. You can grab hold of that cotton wick. You can adjust it. You can do what you need to do with it. It makes it so much easier than a regular Jenny. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. I'm going to twist the very end of it, the very end of the cotton wick, just enough so that I can slide it through the wick hole, or get it started going through the wick hole. You see it's just barely poking through the other side. So I'm going to take my small paper clip, and I'm just going to push it on through there just enough so that I can grab it with my tweezers and pull it on through. Now you're not using a lot of cotton, so you're going to have to be kind of gentle with it. You don't want it to fray and split. I'm just trying to make sure here that I don't have too much cotton. Okay, and as you can see, we've got the cotton running through the two wick holes here, one here and one over here, and it's like a horseshoe. It comes through the coil right here, and I'm going to pull a little bit back through the hole because you want your cotton wick touching on all the way around on your coil, because if you don't, you'll get not necessarily as much with a micro coil, but you'll get a burnt taste if it's not touching around on all the sides of the coil. Okay, so that looks good to me. You can see we have some excess cotton in the bottom. And some people just like to barely put enough cotton in the tank so there's just a little tip running through the deck of the atomizer. Personally, I like to run mine to the bottom of the tank because I feel that the more wick you have in there, as long as it's not too dense, when your juice level gets low, you'll still have enough wick in there to vape all the juice out of the tank. You know, and this, if you don't have enough, if you have too much cotton, if it's too dense, it's not going to wick enough, and it's just not going to work right. So, anyway, so I'm going to cut off this excess cotton, even with the bottom of the tank, like so. Okay, so there we have it. And you know, this works if your cotton isn't too dense, this particular setup works so well that, you know, usually with the Jenny style, you have to tip it, you know, do a hit, tip it. Well, if you've got the right density of cotton, not too much, you don't, very seldom do you even have to tip the mod and the atomizer to keep the juice flowing up to the coil. Okay, so here we are. We've got our wick installed, and this is where, as I've been saying, this is where the Kraken shines. You've got your wick. You're able to easily get the wick through the deck of the atomizer, the top deck of the atomizer. You could see if it was too much cotton, you know, you could see how it pulled through. If it was too much, you could have taken some off. But now you just slide the tank glass over, and there you go. It's built. I mean, it's great. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and prime my wick up top, because of course I'm sure you know, if you're watching this video, you don't want to dry burn cotton, because it'll burn it up and you'll never get that burnt taste out of that wick. So you always want to prime your wick very, very well. Make sure there's plenty of juice on there. And after I do this video, you know, I don't have any video editing software, and so I really, rather than jerk the camera around and have it all shaky and all, I might try to do it, but as it stands right now, I'm thinking that I'm going to do this build, and I'm going to make another video with for vapor production on this build. So I'm filling my tank up with juice. I know it's going to get out of focus, but so I can get it filled up. Okay. So now I've got my tank filled with juice. I'll do a little test fire here. Looks like it's working pretty good. Now granted, I just primed the wick, so I know there's plenty of juice, and the way that my camera is positioned, it'll be out of focus. But like I'm saying, if your wicks aren't too dense, and you get the wick density right and feed it through like this, very seldom will you even have to tip the Jenny to keep the flow of juice up to the coil. Okay, that's about it. This is my Kraken build at 0.6 with a Tiger coil, Leo Shim's Tiger coil. And that's about it. I'm going to do another video showing the vapor production. I'll give you another test fire just so you can see. And it looks like it's going to vape very well. So I hope you enjoyed the video. You know, if you have any questions with cotton builds, if you're curious about it, using cotton for your atomizer builds, please visit Obsessive Cotton Disorder on Facebook. Join the group. There's some links to videos and some cotton builds and some general information. Pretty good group of people. So that's about it for this Kraken build. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Vape on and vape strong.